Hey, 7th graders, Mr. Allard here with another one of your flip lessons. Today we're going to be looking at the colonial regions. In this particular video, we're going to look at one of the colonial regions, the New England colonial region. So you're going to have this fair amount out in front of you. We're going to start in the middle here, and then we're going to kind of work our way, I think, this way. It's kind of hard to do it not looking at it, but you'll get the idea. As always, when you get to a question, or you get to the new slide, hit pause, take your notes, click on pause, watch the video, use your notes to answer the questions so you can get all the questions as a 100. All right, here we go. All right, let me get out of the way here. So first, let's talk about what colonies make up the New England colonies. They are New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Now, one of the weird things about this is everybody wants to say, well, where's Maine? Maine isn't its own colony. It's not going to be its own colony. It's not even going to be its own state until the mid-1800s. And the reason for that is Maine is going to be part of Massachusetts. Vermont is going to kind of be, it'll be a state, but it's not going to be a colony. New York and New Hampshire kind of arguing about that. But the four New England colonies, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut. The geography, just like we talked about the Native Americans, the geography of this region is going to impact the colonists just like it impacted Native Americans. This is a very rocky soil. Lots of forests as natural resources. It's going to be right along the ocean, so you have that ocean coastline that you can use as resources. So you have all those fish and whales and all of that seafood and that type of stuff. It's going to be very, very harsh winter, short summers, which is going to make farming here difficult. Not to say that there was not farming happening in these colonies, but the farming that we are seeing is going to be what we call subsistence farming, meaning you're really just farming for yourself. You may be farming, corn and crops like that to sell, but we're not talking major cash crops like cotton or tobacco or things like that. We're going to be focusing a lot on timber, a lot on fish, a lot of shipbuilding and trading in the New England colonies. I kind of got ahead of myself talking about that. New England was kind of the triangular trade that we talked about, was really the New England colonies were kind of the colonial spot for a lot of that to happen. A lot of those goods made their way up to New England to get shipped out from there to Europe, and in some cases to Africa, depending on what there was. A lot of lumber, fishing, whaling, shipping, and trading going on, again, because they cannot rely on using farming the rocky soil and things like that. Not to say that they weren't growing crops, because they were, but again, that was mostly to feed themselves, maybe a little bit of a side business, but not too many people making a big rich living like we'll see in other colonial regions off of farming in the New England region. Political activities. In New England, we're going to talk a little bit about this in our next chapter when we dig a little bit deeper into the colonies. New England was kind of a early area for people coming to the New World for religious freedom. So there was parts of the New England colony that was very democratic. They had town meetings where just about anyone could vote, as long as you were, number one, a man, and number one, a church member. Number two, there was some age requirements, there were some property owning requirements, and in just about every colony, you had to be white. But that was more people involved in the process than we saw in many European countries during this time period. But you could go to if you were a church member, you could go to the town meeting, you could vote on things that impacted your town, you could vote for representatives in some of these colonies that we'll talk a little bit about in the future, who would have their own form of representative government. Social aspects. And this kind of got into what we were just talking about a little bit. This was an area that was first, the Pilgrims in 1620 arrived and settled on Plymouth Rock, and we talked about that earlier in the year with looking at the three different early American colonies. And then later the Puritans, who basically kind of absorbed the Pilgrims, even though the Puritans were a little bit more um, focused on religion than the Pilgrims were. These were people who, if it was not in the Bible, it was not happening. And in Massachusetts in particular was kind of the Puritan colony. And some of those other colonies, New England would kind of step away from that strict Puritan religion. But this was a place where you were in church all day on Sunday. If you did not go to church on Sunday, you could be put in jail, you could be fined, things like that. And this was strict by the Bible religion. All right, we're going to stop there for the New England colonies. Make sure you've answered all the questions. Make sure you got all your notes taken care of. And when you do that, you can jump over into the middle colony section. Till next time, 7th graders, out.